I think we all get to a point where it just becomes so painful, all of it, that you need, you need to do something. You need to change something. You need to make a change. So it just, for, I would say for everybody, it gets to that point where you just recognize that you need to change something because the pain
Yeah.
of everything is just too much.
Like, what was
Mhm.
happening where you would actually see results and gain momentum, but still somehow slide back? What happens there?
That's such a rabbit hole question.
Let's dive. Let's deep dive.
Because now you're getting into the emotional and psychological aspect of it. And the thing with your coaching is people approach you for the fitness side of it, but they don't realize the amount of emotional and psychological work, the mindset work that's behind all of that. And I think that's what you've mastered so well. So, on again, off again with fitness just really meant that I wasn't developing the habits that I needed. I was looking at like a goal, a short-term goal. Like I wanted to lose 10 pounds, 15 pounds, 20 pounds without actually realizing that it had to be a lifestyle change. And that's not something people want to hear or think about because everybody wants the quick fix, right?
Yeah.
And just from coaching with you and you repeatedly telling me or encouraging me to make this a lifestyle change is actually, and I don't think you see it coming. It's something
Yeah.
that eventually, like, we coach long enough or we go over certain things, certain habits that I needed to break or form new habits, replace. I think eventually you just slowly start to become that person.
Yeah.
And that's where the reps come in. That's why the reps are important because I don't think it's just like you're this person one day and then you just become another person the next day, right? It
Yes.
takes consistency. The pain of where I was the catalyst.
Let's actually spend some time there. When you
Okay.
say the pain of where I was, what were you doing and experiencing that says, all right, something's got to give?
Well, it's the obvious things like you're feeling lethargic, sluggish. Um, I actually had still do, physical pain in my body from inflammation and all the things. And I wasn't, it's not to say like I was or I am an inactive person. I'm busy all day. Like I have kids, I'm doing all the things, but I wasn't spending that intentional time on my fitness and my health. You kind of like eat mindlessly sometimes because, you're on the hamster wheel, right?
Yeah.
So I wasn't spending enough time on the nutrition aspect of it. So I was tired. I had brain fog. Obviously, the weight gain, because, you've known me since I was a teenager. So I was never overweight until I started to have kids. But it wasn't the kids. Like I can't blame the kids, right? It's the lifestyle and the
Yeah.
habits. So yeah, that's what it was for me. Just not having, I guess, the motivation to get through the day and
Yeah.
just not feeling good inside
Yeah.
my body, not feeling pretty anymore, and all the things that women go through, right?
Yes, absolutely. And I remember one conversation we had that I always keep bringing up. And I want to preface it by what you just said. You said, really understanding it's a lifestyle change. And that's such a
Mhm.
very commonly used term. And a lot of people hear the term, I'm like, yeah, yeah, that makes sense. Like, yeah, of course, lifestyle change, lifestyle change. But we don't actually know how to go about this lifestyle change. And so
Mhm.
when we started working together, the
Yeah.
approach was, Candy, you got to look at your entire day from top to bottom. Like, what are you doing? What time you sleep? What time you wake up? And I don't know if you know where I'm going with this, but
Yes. I was
uh,
gonna get to that.
yeah, you were like, you basically said, sell me on this whole discipline and structure thing. Like, but it's a very important point
Yeah.
because you articulated what so many people feel, and it's the truth,
Hmm.
which is some people don't like to feel constricted. and don't like to
Mm-hmm.
feel like there's a rigidity in their schedule.
Mm-hmm.
And I resonate with that too. Like I consider myself a bit of a free spirit too, but I have to learn to compartmentalize and develop structure. When we were first talking about working together and we were talking about structure and discipline and having a routine, you
Mm-hmm.
said something to the effect of, that sounds like a prison to me, doing
Yeah.
the same thing over and over. And to a large extent, that's why so many people are not really owning this lifestyle change, because it
Mm-hmm.
does feel like a prison when you first
Mm-hmm.
start. You're doing the same thing over and over again, right? You have to prepare your breakfast. You have to put on a gym clothes, pack your bag, jump in the car, drive to the gym, do the warm up, do all the
Mm-hmm.
stuff. And then you got to go to bed and do it all over again.
Mm-hmm.
And just the thought of doing that same thing over and over
Yeah.
is a big obstacle.
Yeah.
I want to know from your point of view why it feels like a prison
Mm-hmm.
and what happened when you actually said, all right, cool, let's trust this process.
Mm-hmm.
How it impacted your life?
So the irony is, either way, I was in a prison, right? I was doing the same thing over and over and over and over.
Yes.
Just wasn't the things that I was doing weren't getting me to my goals. So I think it was as simple as this, just listening to you give the same advice over and over, and you know that I would get frustrated. And I wanted to hear you say something different. I wanted there to be another, like, I just felt like, okay, here we go again. Like, he's telling me the same thing over and over and over. And obviously, there's no other answer or solution, right? You were saying those things over and over because that's what I needed to do. And eventually, I just decided to fully immerse myself in your program and just, okay, let me see what happens if I do these things over and over. What it was is just committing to something that was different from what I was doing, because then there's the whole fear of the unknown. And I would say for me, the most difficult part of the journey was that small part of doing something different, not the thing that I was about to do after I decided to make that shift, that mental shift. That's actually the more difficult thing. And that's why a lot of it is mindset work, because that was a mindset thing. It wasn't that the painful part really was going to the gym or eating clean. Those things actually became very, very fun for me after. So the I think a lot of people don't see it through that part, the mindset change and how beautiful it is on the other side.
Really, I'm trying to like remove all the emotion and the fluff and
Hmm.
just say, you're on a routine that's not helping you. Actually, this routine is hurting you and making you continue to gain weight and feel worse.
Hmm.
There's a transition that you have to go through where you're going to have to do things differently every day,
Right.
right? Because how you sleep, how you eat, and how you exercise has to
Hmm.
change and has to improve. And that's going to feel weird and uncomfortable and out of the norm. But if you do it long enough,
Hmm.
then everything falls in place. And the mindset work is the link, because you have to always keep checking in with yourself and having that conversation. So when it's time to roll out to bed at instead of 7:30 and you say, I'm gonna
Brute
wake up,
force.
brute force.
Yeah.
I don't want to say, you talk to me about brute force. Why did you say brute force?
So, well, I said brute force because you always say brute force, and that's something that we spoke about almost daily when I would be having a hard time or um, I just don't feel like going to the gym today. I'm tired. I didn't sleep enough the night before, which is also one of the key components that you remind me of constantly. Sleep, sleep. If you just get to bed early and create, and this is where the routine comes in, right? And I think not spending too much time, the brute force aspect of it is not just really means not spending too much time on the decision making aspect of it. You've already decided this is what has to happen. So it's just being quick about it. Get out of bed, no matter how you feel. Get out of bed. And to an extent, it's just becoming robotic with it, right?
Yes.
And that actually stuck with me for a long time, just reminding myself to use brute force, and could we go back to the scheduling, because that took a while for me, because it did feel like a prison, and the reason it felt like a prison is because naturally as humans we stay where we feel safe and we stay where we're comfortable. And even though you look at yourself and you're unhappy with how you feel, with how you look, you're unhappy with the strides you're not making in life, like where you are, just feeling stuck, it still feels safe. That's something very interesting about the human mind, right?
I mean,
So,
we can really deep dive into that alone when we start
yeah.
talking about like relationships that don't serve us and jobs that don't serve us anymore,
Mhm.
but it's just what
It's a
we're used
toxic
to.
relationship with yourself.
Yes.
And you're in that toxic relationship with yourself and you're staying there. I mean, it's just like being in a unhealthy relationship with a partner. And I mean, we've all seen, you know, we've all had a look at other people's lives and you wonder, why aren't they leaving? Or, it's just that it becomes familiar, it becomes comfortable, and not knowing what's on the other side is scary.
Yes.
So, scheduling, just getting everything on that Google Calendar, my day, and seeing it is really really more important than you realize. Just seeing your day planned out makes it a little more real. That has helped me. But brute force, brute force is, I think I will die remembering brute force.
Yes, absolutely. And I think we both like Mel Robbins, and she was just on
Yeah.
a podcast talking about the same thing, but she was referencing Nike's slogan, which is just do it.
Mm-hmm.
And she said the most important word there is just do it. And
Mm-hmm.
that relates to all the emotions we feel when we're trying to make these changes and these conversations that we're having and all the everything all the dialogue that we're having in our mind and the emotions we're feeling and the resistance we're putting up.
Mm-hmm.
But brute force is the same as just do it. Just do it.
Mm-hmm.
Feel how you feel anxious, feel afraid, feel unmotivated, feel all the feels, but still do it.
Mm-hmm.
Because the brute force means we really have to aggressively reprogram our mind,
Mm-hmm.
right? And only when we do it, and yes, we have to be willing to not see results in the beginning. We have
Mm-hmm.
to be willing to put a lot of mental work in and not see anything tangible, right? The same way we plant a seed in the ground and we water it and we water it and we water it. The difference is we can do it, we can do that because we know it's going to grow. We
Mm-hmm.
know if we keep watering, it's going. But for us, we have a hard time. We need to be sold because we do live in an instant gratification society. And so, and I'm fully aware that I don't sell fast results. And that's actually sort of a disadvantage because I'm not saying
Mm-hmm.
12 weeks and 8 weeks and this and that. We're talking months and months of work. But that's the if you do that work, you never have to do it again,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because you actually reprogram your mind. So yeah, I appreciate you bringing up brute force.
The thing about the scheduling that I feel was an obstacle is that it felt military. It felt rigid, and I just felt like I wanted life to feel easy, and I wanted to just, oh, let it happen organically and, go off vibes.
Yeah.
But
Yes.
without realizing how important it really is as simple as the reps.
Yes.
Like you slowly see, you just you make a plan. This is, like this is where I want to be, and all the details about
Yeah.
that, and then kind of reverse engineer, right? So
Yes.
what's going to get me here? Obviously structure and habit change
Yeah.
and all the things. It's like when you plug in a destination in your GPS and you follow it. If you don't follow it and you go off course, you end up someplace else.
Being so averse to structure and the rigidity, how has it impacted you?
So scheduling, I would say the main thing is less chaos. Like I go through my day and I actually feel accomplished. I don't feel like I didn't do this or I could have done this because if it's on the schedule and you get to it, there is just simply less chaos in your
Yeah.
life.
You basically fit the profile of a very, very busy woman with your family, your life, your business, and everything. But you still are able to carve out time for the gym, for your meal prep, for your
Mhm.
self-care.
Because
So,
you have to.
yeah,
That is just a part of that I think what I had to do was just realize that this is now my life. This is the life. If even if I set goals, revenue goals as an entrepreneur, right? There I need to be healthy to get
yes,
there. I need to be healthy to run a business. I need to be healthy to raise kids and do all the things that it's just we hear this all the time. It's like waking up and brushing your teeth
yes,
and taking a shower and all the things. It's just this is just something that has to be done in your day. And now honestly, it's fun. It's just what I do. You replace something because there is something I was doing in that hour, that I would go to the gym, right? Or the time that I would take to meal prep. If you're watching TV, if you're catching up on Netflix, that's time that you could spend meal prepping and going to the gym. So now it's just naturally a part of my day because if I'm not doing that and if I'm not feeling good, I can't do anything else.
yeah.
I can't run the business. I can't. And my work is active too, right? Even in my business. Like I'm physically making gifts. I'm physically packing boxes, taking them, to ship them out, going through my inventory, like all the physical part of it. I do it all. And just the mental work. You have to be fit for that too.
We should do this more often.
We
What do you
should.
say? We should. Of
Yeah, there's so much to
all the
talk
friends
about.
who are all the friends who are voice messaging back and forth over the years, and they're like, "Yo, we should have a podcast." Us two clowns, we might
Yeah.
actually do it.
Because we say that constantly.
I know, but we're gonna do it.
Every conversation I feel is a podcast
Same,
conversation.
same.
Yeah.
Candy, thank you so much. This is amazing, and we will absolutely do this again.
And thank you, Cam, for everything.